still don't have everybody's email addresses. I was wondering if, just give me a show of hands in here. How many people have already uploaded it to me? Okay, if you haven't, you should, I just want to get a percentage. I guess most of the people who don't show are doing that. So basically what they aren't uploading their addresses, and I can't get my database done because it isn't. I've got about 26 students out of 60 that have actually done it. So I'll have to, you guys get on it. If you watch this video, get on it. Okay. And there's a little bit of confusion there too, because one of the sites changed its layout naturally, which you know, these guys, their strategy is to try to get you to do what they want you to do. This free service we have at Alta Vista is perfectly fine, works out great. The problem is that they would rather have you put advertisements in your web page. That's what they want to accomplish. So what they do is it's a very subtle thing, but they try to subvert you getting what you want. If you don't want to do that, they kind of make little things happen. And I can see where it's easy to make a typing entry that you don't want to do. You don't realize the consequences of it. So how many people? Let's see. You guys have all sent. So I should. For your purposes, I don't have to worry about this. What I'll do is I'll just deal with that with another online video, which I hate to do, but I have to do. I pretty well get the Alta Vista people down. I understand how they work now, and we've been using them for a couple of semesters. And the trick is, the only problem that people are having is that I can see is that when you sign on, there's a couple of choices you have to make. And one of them is whether or not you want to accept their advertising. And if you say yes to that, you're sunk. In fact, I have never been able to figure out how to get out of it, because once you do that, as soon as you sign on, they immediately drag you to that area and you can't get out of it. So the only way out of it is, and I'm saying this actually for people online because most of people have actually signed up, the only way to get out of it, there's only one way that I know of, is that you have to go to Google, get another address, just an email address of some kind. And then you have to, before you go back to Alta Vista, you have to clean your cookies out. Because if you don't, Alta Vista looks at the cookie and says, oh, this is the same person, even though they're using a different name. They funnel you back to where you were before, and you can't get out of it. So what you have to do is you have to get rid of your cookies, and then when you go to Alta Vista to sign up, they won't recognize you, and you can use the new email address and create a new site. Don't give it the same name either. Give it, like if you called it my Alta Vista site, don't call it that. Call it my original or my something or other. You know, change the name of it somehow. Because if you use anything that they've heard before, their system seems to find you, and they lock you back out to that situation you were in before. So that's for you guys online, because everybody in the room here, pretty much everybody's got their website up and running. This is the hardest part of the course, is to get moving in this kind of course. Some courses you just go, you know yourself. You go in and they start teaching you stuff right away, and it's all organized. But that isn't so true when you're using software, free software, and we have a bunch of things we have to do just to get into the situation where we can actually program stuff. So there's a little bit of roughness here in the beginning, but don't worry, that's smoothed out pretty quick. Once you get your site set up and you understand how the CS101 folder contains everything, and how your Chrome is on the desktop and Notepad's on the desktop, once you get all those things locked down and you get used to them, it's actually pretty easy. From then on, it's just a problem of studying the programming. Anyway, there's three topics that we cover, as I mentioned before. One of them is HTML, which we've talked about already in this class. The other one is style sheeting. I call it style. And the third one is JavaScript. Oops, got to spell it right now. JavaScript. I'm going to do JavaScript starting next week. I'm going to, these two classes that are coming now, we're going to stick to these guys. And the reason why is because everything we do, there's a web page. You start with this. These guys control what the web page looks like in the communication with the web page. And then they in turn talk to JavaScript, which is what we're programming. We'll program this language. Now I'm going to show you structurally what it kind of looks like, so you get the idea. When we set up a web page, the body of the web page, that contains all the stuff that the user sees. So in other words, everything that's in here is the stuff they're going to look at. And the CSS stuff, and everything's going to be there. Okay? Up in the head, which is what we're not using right now, everything this JavaScript is going to be up there. That's how it works. The JavaScript programming is up there. And the way we organize it, the way it's organized, is that this thing over here presents some kind of an image to people on the screen. Okay? Some kind of an image, that's what this does. And then it could ask you a question, it can do different things to you. But basically, if it wants information, it's going to have to be calculated. This has to get the information from you. You have to get it. In other words, the page has to be some way to put it in. They probably have there might be a little rectangle where you type stuff in, or you might be able to say stuff to it, or whatever. But the program will tell you what to do. In other words, it wants information, it asks you for the information. Once it gets that information down here, however it gets it, then what it does is it sends it up to the JavaScript behind the scenes. You don't see it. It's like these guys work behind the scenes. So in other words, they say, what is your name? You say, my name is Joe. And they'll take that information, they'll go up there, and it'll look at what you said or what you typed, see what it is, and then they'll work out an answer so that you'll see what the answer is going to be from it. And then what they'll do is, it'll send the answer back to the page. It'll come out somewhere on the page. So in other words, what happens is all the action is up in here. It's the programming part. It's talking, it's listening to you, it's talking to you, it's calculating, it's doing whatever it does. That's all up in the head. And we don't need the programmer sees it, you and I will see it, but the person that's using the program will never see that. That's out of sight to them. All they know is they see this, and they do whatever it tells them to do, and it receives the answers from them. That's all down here in the body, okay? So, just to get off the ground, there's some things we have to do up here to just get started. First, we have to be able to do text. We have to get text on the screen, and then we have to get pictures on the screen. That's among the normal things that you do. So, today I want to spend a little time on the picture part, on how you use X in View, for example. Has everybody downloaded that yet? X in View, the program? Get that down to your machine because you'll need it, and I'll show you how to use it right now.
Does the Chapman computer lab have those? Do you have to download that to those computers? You
have to download it to this. You have storage space in, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. I'm not sure how they do it over there. Does anybody use the XView? Do they download it for you, or what do they do?
As I recall, because I'm having to use a lab computer, and I even have also put my folder on a flash drive, so that if I end up at like a different computer, I'm not sure.
Oh, it comes from, aren't they all in one database?
I think it is in one database,
yeah, I don't think
log in, but just to be
yeah,
sure, like I backed it up on a flash
it's
drive.
It's not in a specific computer,
it's in a central database, yeah. But as I recall, there's even a thing on the login screen that tells you, like, save your personal files, because like at the end of every semester they wipe
what about programs?
I don't believe it's in there, because they
Well, that's the question, is if they don't, they'll get it for us if they don't have it. But you can download it and see, it might download it for you. You might be able to put it in your folder.
I just don't think it's pre-existing because at the end of every semester the computers are,
oh yeah, well no, it isn't there automatically. You have to do what I told you to do online. You have to download the thing. The question is whether they'll hold it for you or whether you have to put it in your folder or however you do it. You have to ask them that. I don't know what the answer is. But basically, there's a way for you to get it there. So X in View is a program that we're going to use to. It's a free program, and what it does is it allows you to manipulate images, okay? In fact, I want to show you a little bit of it today. Normally, I don't like to do video or any kind of computer stuff while, during class. But in the beginning, I don't have much choice because most of the problem will be with what do you type and what's going to happen and what are you going to see. Once you get that all down pat, you realize that when you go into a thing, this is what you're going to see, then it's pretty easy. As you see, when I try to describe it online, you've probably looked at the webpage. I mean, now we've got tons of writing trying to get you to realize what all these different components are. I can show you those things in 5 minutes, but I can't show you in 5 minutes on the website. I actually have to break it down to little pieces and say, look at this, look at that, blah, blah, blah. So if I did that for every single thing we do, it would be an enormous amount of space. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to spend a few minutes here using Exit View just to show you the basis of how to get a picture, how to bring it down. A lot of you already know this, I'm sure, but we have to be sort of synchronized in the beginning. How do you get a picture that you might want? How to put it in your computer? How to use it? How to change its shape, its size, and that kind of information. And then what we'll do is, right after I finish that, I'll show you how to set up a web page that actually allows you to put pictures on it, which it's very easy to do. But when you put pictures on it, you can also change the size of the picture right on the web page. In other words, even though the picture has a size built in, it has a specific size, you can tell it to look bigger on your web page. The problem is, if you stretch it too much on the web page and make it too big, it starts to look pretty yucky, okay? So the thing is, your picture should always be about the same size in memory as it is in the web page. Even though you control the different shape of the thing, you should always have it about the same size. In other words, it's always measure it like in pixels. Don't do it in inches or anything like that. Do it in pixels. Get an idea on your screen of what 100 pixels look like, or 1,000 pixels. Just so to get a feel for how big that space is. Then from then on, you can put stuff around your page, and you'll understand where you're sort of putting stuff. Okay, so what I want to do now is, before I do these things, I'm going to go to the web, get a picture, bring it down, put it in Exit View, make it a specific size. I'm going to make it 600 characters wide. Now, here's what you should know about when you start distorting pictures. If you only distort the width of a thing, if your computer's, and you see if the program's set properly, as you change the width of it, the height will change proportionally. That's pretty automatic if you have a certain setting in the thing. If you don't have that setting, what happens then is if you stretch it, the picture looks like a pancake. You've stretched it out, but it doesn't vertically go up. So you have to kind of have it set so that it's proportional all the time. You don't want a picture to get out of shape when you start changing its size. So what you do is, in the program, you can tell it that. You can tell it, I would like this thing to stay in the same proportions it's in, and I just want to change its width, which means its height will change also, okay? You can tell it if you wanted to. You can make something wider without changing its height. You can press the button, it'll do that for you. But I want to show you, that's the kind of thing that gets in trouble. Last semester, I did a program similar to what I'm going to do this week, the ones listed as homework assignment. And people did it okay. They got the words in, they got the pictures in, but sometimes the pictures were so big they wouldn't even fit on the screen, and the words were teeny-weeny words. So they basically didn't get the idea. They didn't get the feeling of what they're trying to do. They just basically put words up there, put a picture up there, and they didn't have any feeling for adjusting it. So for that reason, I'd like to show you how to adjust the size of the thing so you'll have a better, get a better web page out of what you're doing. So let me, without any further ado, let me get this thing operational here. I'm going to leave the camera on, hoping that it's set up to catch everything, I think. We'll see what happens. Can you see okay? You want the yellow lights on, or is this okay?
That's good.
Is that all right? Okay. Let me know about it. If you don't see something, let me know about it, because it's no sense me doing it. Okay, you sat down at your computer, you decided that you wanted to make a web page about some topic. Pick a topic. Something.
Feral cats.
A feral cat. Okay. We're going to do a feral cat. Ah! Get me out of here. Okay, feral cat, where are we here? What did I just do to this thing? Get me out of here. Okay, I never moved this before. I don't know why I did it. It's kind of strange. Okay, here we go. Feral cat. First you go to Chrome. And it goes to your home page. And then right where you normally have the URL, you just simply type it in feral cat. Is there 2 L's in feral? I think there is. Cat. Just write the topic that, what? You can't do this to me. Hang on, you guys. Don't get excited. Like that. This one will work. There we go. Let me be sure I'm on here. Yeah, I'm on, okay. Feral cat. Can you read that? It's too high up. Let me bring it down a little bit. Trouble is people at home aren't going to be able to read it. That should be all right. Feral cat. Okay. So it's going to go up with a bunch of pages of feral cat. Click on images. And you're going to get a lot of feral cat images. Oh, that looks pretty feral. What about this one here? That looks pretty scary, doesn't
One
it?
off to the left of it looks even more so.
So I'm taking, I clicked on it, right? So then what does comes up this little black area. Then what happens is, supposing this is the one I want, I can choose any one, but suppose I choose this one. I hit view image, and it will bring the image in. There it is. Now the image is ready to be saved or whatever you want to do with it. What I do is I right click on it, and I say copy the image. I copy it to the clipboard. Okay? Then what I do, then what you would do is, up here in the corner, way up at the top, you'll see X in view. For you guys at home, let me bring it down more to view here. This is X in view is a program. That's the program that I'm talking about. Double click it. There it is. And then what you do is you hold down the Control, the Shift, and hit V for paste. You got to hold the Control and the Shift, both. Normally you hold the Control V. This time it's Control Shift V for this program. Okay. So you bring it in, and there's the cat. Now you got the cat, and you want to save the cat in your computer in your CS101 folder. So you give it a save as, and we'll call it. There's the desktop right here. Let's call it feral. There it is right there, and it's going to be a JPEG, okay? This is where you decide how you're going to save the thing. I'm saving it as a JPEG because it says JPEG. If I wanted to change it to PNG, this is where you would do it. You hit this thing, and you go to PNG, PNG right there. Click on that. And then what happens is, it will save it as feral PNG, as a PNG file, okay? These are the two types we normally work with, JPEG and PNG. I'm going to go back to a JPEG because that's really what I want to save it as. JPEG right here. Where is it? It's up higher. It's right at the top there. JPEG. Here it is. So I'm saving it on the desktop, and I'm saving it with the name feral. Save. And where is it? There it is right here. It's up in the corner. Okay? So I've got the thing. I'm going to close the Google, get that, I don't need that anymore. So now I have this picture in my computer. Now, if you look down at the lower left-hand side right here, what that does is it tells you how big this picture is. This first number, 600, is its width. And the 400 is its height. That's how big the picture is. This is in pixels, okay? And it's 24 colors. We'll talk about this some other time. But basically 600 by 400. Supposing I wanted the thing to be 400 by whatever it comes to. I want it, instead of being 600, I want it just to be 400. Okay? What you do is, you go to Image, and go down to Resize. Go to Resize. And what it does is, it tells you how big it is, 600 by 400. Now notice that thing right there is clicked that says Keep Ratio. You do want that kept, because otherwise the cat will get flat or will make a mistake. So I'm going to change this. I want to change it to 400. So I changed the 600 to 400, which means it's going to have a smaller width. Notice automatically it gives you 267 for the height. It keeps it in proportion. You don't have to deal with that. Then you say OK. And when you do that, notice it gets smaller on the screen. And if you look over here, it says it's now 400 by 267. Okay. And there's another thing over here that says a percent sign. You see a percent sign next to it. It's showing me the picture at 100% its size. If I use my roller and I raise it bigger, I can raise it to 200% or 70% or whatever. So in other words, what you see on the screen, unless it says 100%, is not what you get. You want it to be sure to say 100% here. So you see, in other words, if you reduce it to a certain size, you want it to be the size that you're thinking, not the, if it's the wrong size, you don't want that. So be sure you look at the thing to be sure it's the correct size. When you see it that way, you say, okay, that's what I want, I like that, and that's the one I'm going to get. So now you have the cat right here, the Pharaoh JPEG. I'm going to save it again. Yes, I want to save it. I want to write over the other one because I just changed its size. And now I've got the picture. Okay, and that's it. Here's the picture right here. This is the Pharaoh cat. Now, supposing you want to put that Pharaoh cat on a web page with some words about it. You want to say Pharaoh cat, then you're going to put the picture underneath it. That's essentially the homework assignment. You say words, then you put a picture underneath it of some kind. Okay. And notice the words and the picture are about the same size. It's kind of about the same size. Okay. So what I'd like to do is I would like to set this page up for you and show you kind of how to do it. Well, the first program is always the hardest one because the first thing you have to get used to, and it's really, really hard to get used to, is it doesn't like typos. The program will flop and you won't know what it's doing, it'll do weird things and you won't know why. Okay, the first thing you have to do in your own experience is you look at the program, see if you can find the typos. And once you find the typo, be very careful to notice what you did, because 90% of programming is learning yourself. You learn the kind of mistakes you make, because you're going to find out. That's the nature of people. We make the same mistakes over and over again. Okay? And that's one of the things about programming. That's the good part. The bad part is that you have to write perfectly. The good part is that when you make a mistake, you will make that mistake again, and that will save you a lot of time by realizing you've learned the kind of mistakes you make, and that will save you a lot of time just getting used to that idea. The other thing is, if you're dyslexic, it's going to be a real nuisance. It's going to cause you some trouble because then you have to use your finger. You have to be really careful about it. If you have a problem with any of this stuff, I'll help you debug the first ones. The first few programs, I'll help you work on those because you have to get used to it. In order to have me do that, though, you can't just put the program in your email. What you have to do is you have to take the program, even though it doesn't run, you have to upload it to your website and send me a URL. And then I can look at it, and I can actually copy it down, and I can work on it, whatever I have to do. So be very careful when you have something to be fixed. Don't just send me a screenshot of it. I can't work with that. And don't send me the program incorporated into your email, because then it won't show me. It actually gets rid of the code and it acts on its own behalf, because web pages are in Gmail as well. So basically, you got to be really careful. When you want me to see your program, upload it to your Alta Vista site, send me the URL, and I'll look at it and see what's wrong. If you give me a hint though, it would be helpful if you say what happens when you try to run it. That'll give me a little help trying to figure out what's wrong. But basically, I'm going to have to say, I'm just going to guess off the top of my head. Basically, I think over 90% of the mistakes are simple typos. So that's the good part. That means it's just going to be a typo. It's not going to be a logic mistake. Logic mistakes are a pain also, because tracking them down is hard. But our programs are so short that it's very unlikely to happen. It's more likely to be a typo. Okay, so let's make a web page that has the feral cat, and it says, the page opens up, and it puts feral cat, and then has the picture of the feral cat right in the middle. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make that web page. So let's see here. Anybody see Notepad up there? Oh, there it is. I got it. Okay, the Notepad. Okay, step one. It's on the desktop. Mine doesn't have CS101 folder, but the desktop is my CS101 folder. Everything's in the same place. Okay, for this program. So what you do is the first thing you do is you say HTML, ML. Okay, what that does is that says I'm going to write this program. Then you put down head, and we're not going to do anything in the head. We're not going to do anything there. Then you say /head, because we didn't do anything up there. And now we're going to the body. Now, in the body, one of the things I want to do is, I want to, say you want to put a color background on it. Say you want to put a yellow color background, okay? I'll just pick yellow. Pick any color you want, but let's say it's yellow. So what I want to do is, I have to now use a style sheet. I have to say, okay, I want to make a style sheet because I want to tell it what color to make the background of the whole page. So you say style equals quote mark. Quote mark. Now what you want to do is you want to make the background color of the page. That's the word background color. Hyphen color. That's the when you write these things. That's, by the way. Let me do this for a second here. I'm going to say yellow now. Yellow. I want to talk about this for a second. The way the style sheet works is. The first thing you have is what they call a property. This thing right here, background color, is called a property, and this is called a value. So in other words, this is the property that you're putting this value in. The background color is going to have the value yellow. That's what's going to happen. So you always have property colon value, and you never have any spaces in this whatsoever. Don't put any spaces in. Okay, make sure there's no spaces in any inside these quote marks right here. From then on, all in the style sheet, it's no spaces, okay? After you write any given, like background color, colon yellow, then what you do is you add a semicolon. And the semicolon says, I'm going to put some more properties in here, and some more values, okay? But here's what I'm going to do. First thing I want to do in this particular program is, I made it yellow. Now I want to put the text in the middle because I want to put the name of the feral cat and then the cat. I want to put that right in the middle. Just like it is with this picture here, I want the thing in the middle. So what I do is, I say, in that program, I want to keep them exactly the same way. I did the text align way, okay? Text align, whoops. Tell me if you see any back because you probably see that in my hand, center. Text line center. So what I've done is two things. I said the background is going to be yellow, and the text is going to be right in the center. And also the pictures will be in the center. Everything I put in will be centered. That's what's going to happen. The next thing we haven't done before is I want to change the font size, because the normal font size is like about maybe somewhere between 10 and 14 in some little size. We want to make it big. We want to make like a big size. There's different ways of doing that. But one of the ways of doing it is just simply tell it how many pixels tall you like it. The nice thing about using pixels is, instead of percentages, is that if you say pixels, you get an absolute number. That's how big it's going to be. If you say percentage, it kind of depends on how the guy's got his machine set up. So basically, say pixels. I'm going to show you how to do that. So what I want to do is, I want to set up the font size, and it's called font hyphen size. Yeah. colon. And I'm going to set this one at 100 pixels. PX is the word, no spaces. 100 pixels, that's exactly, now what they've done is, what I have is 3 properties here. The background color, which is yellow, text align, which is in the center. You can have left or right, by the way, too, but we're just going to use center. That's the only one that makes sense to us. The others, it's automatically left. And there might be some reason if you use right, but that's up to you. If you want to try it, you can look at it, see what it does. And finally, the size of the font is going to be 100 pixels, okay? Finish with a quote mark. You can put a semicolon or not, but I mean, before that quote mark, but I wouldn't bother. You don't have to. It just takes up space. And there it is. This right here has these 3 properties, and that will set up what the page is going to look like in the body, okay? So when I start writing the words and stuff, they're going to be centered. Everything's going to be centered. The background's going to be... Okay, so what I did was I said, in this case, I want to say the words feral cat. Now, if I say feral cat and hit return, will feral cat be above the picture, do you think? Or do I have to do something? I say feral cat, hit return.
Break or whatever, right?
What?
Is it the break?
You have to have a break, line break, right. By the way, you guys who have taken HTML before use P's a lot of time. Paragraph stuff, right? Paragraph is different than break. Paragraph actually what it does is it spaces as well. So in other words, you can see that it not only returns with spaces. The break just goes to the next line. That's why I use BR, because it just goes one line down. Okay. So you can put the break anywhere you want. I'm going to put it right here. I could have put it right after the word feral cat. It would do the same thing, because the way HTML works is it just keeps reading like this. It doesn't care what it sees. Whatever it sees, it does. Okay. It doesn't have any feelings for where the thing is. So I hit break, and then I want to put the picture in. And this is where you have a new command, okay? I think we did a little bit of it last time. The name of the picture is feral.jpg. So here's what I do. I say img, which means image, src, which means the source of that image.
Is there a space there?
What is, what they do?
In that case, is there a space between img and src?
There's a space there, yes. There's a space of image and then source. There's a space right there, right, okay? Now, what I'm saying is that I'm going to have an image on the page, and the source of that image, the source is always what is the file name? That's really what you're always looking for, is what's the file name. So in this case, the source name is equal to feral.jpg, right? Quotes, got to have quotes around it. There it is, quote. Now at this point, if we did this, it would work perfectly lovely. No problemo. Let's try it. I have to say slash body and slash HTML. When I save this program on the desktop, I'm going to give it, say, save as. On the desktop, where are we? Desktop. I'm going to call it cat.html, and then don't forget, you got to go over here, click on this thing, and make it say all files. There it is. Now you save it. You're ready to go. You say save. And there it is, right up there on the left-hand side. I'm going to bring it down. Bring it down again so people at home can see it. And there it is. That's what we created right there. Notice that it has the Chrome icon on it, which means if I just double click it, there it is. What do you think? Thank you, thank you, thank you. But that's what you want to see, right? That's what you kind of want to see.
Professor?
Yeah.
When I do mine doesn't go through, for some reason I can't get it to go through Chrome, I keep coming up with Internet Explorer. Is that a big deal?
Oh yeah, here's what you have to do. It is a big deal later. Right now it won't make any difference, but when we get a little bit deeper in it will. Here's what you have to do. You can force it to read by whatever program you want by simply saying, instead of saying open, say open with. And then you click a thing, and then you tell it to stick with that. Okay, it'll open everything after that. It'll open that one forever with that new program. What I do is different. I just grab a hold of the icon. I'll show you how I run it, if I'm going to run this thing. If I wanted to run cat right here, I would take it and drag it over to the Google Chrome and let go. And then it runs in Chrome.
Okay.
That's another way of doing it. In fact, later on, that's what we have to do because we're running programs that get weird stuff in them, and that's the only way to run them. Okay? But that's the idea. Does everybody see, could you all do that? Any trouble with any of that? Don't forget, you got to find your own picture. You got to go to Chrome, you got to bring it down, save it to Google engine search, and bring it down, save it, size it the size you want, and then just set it up. We're lucky that feral cat's the same size as the picture. That was a complete accident. Just an accident, that's all.
One thing I was curious about, and maybe I was confused that I emailed you about, is when I was trying to go over to this last week, I just used one of my own pictures, and like emailed it to myself, and I couldn't get it to come up, even though it had like a generic file name. Was that why like I did not rename it feral cat? It was just like image underscore some number.
Here's one thing you should know. Don't put spaces in your names. I know that. For example, this thing right here, it's called feral. If I called it feral cat, it would be feral underscore cat or feral cat or something. It wouldn't be feral space cat. Don't do that. It causes trouble in a lot of places. So the name is kind of a toughie. That may not be what happened to you.
Yeah, I don't think that's what happened because it was just.
Well, I'd have to see the problem.
Yeah.
You have to actually see it.
Okay.
Okay, so that, I think that pretty well does it. That tells you the situation. You okay with that? Everybody okay with that? It sounds pretty easy, doesn't it? But actually, when you sit down by yourself is when it gets tricky. You have to figure out what to do and all that stuff. It'll be online. You'll see it online, so you can watch it again if you want to get used to it. Okay, let me see if there's anything else here I have to do before I kill this thing. I think I'm done. Yeah, okay, so I'll just shut this baby down. Ah! Why is it doing this to me? I think this is system 8 or something. Drives me crazy. When you're does everybody know how to send me a link to your programs? Does everybody have done that? How you write a program, you want to send it to me, okay? As I say, there's only one way to do it. What you do is you write down. I usually write HTTP, so you'll know that I'll know what I'm doing here. : / and then give it the name that you ever gave it. Like it would be Joe CS or something like that. No, this is the thing you made up. .AltaVista. .org / the name of your program, what it is, cat.html. Now, if you want to send something to me, it should look like this. That's what you write, and it'll turn blue on your Chrome, in your email, Gmail. So what happens is this is like blue, and then when I get it, I can just click on this thing and go right to your file. Whether it runs or not, I can check it. I can find out what's wrong with it. Okay. Let me show you how to look at your file. Here's something interesting. If somebody runs your program, they can look at the code in your program if they want to. They can do that. Okay. I actually should have done it right there. But basically, it works like this. You got the program running, and you want to see what the code is behind that program. You want to see what it looks like. So what you can do is, you right-click, and then there is one of the choices you have is to look at the code. You can just, I don't know what the word is, I can't remember what the word is anymore, but it's pretty obvious what it is. It's like, just look at the code behind the thing. Sometimes this happens. This will happen later on. Not so much now. Now it'll work pretty well all the time. But someday you're going to hit a right click on it, and it's not going to show you. It's not going to show you what you want to see. It's not going to give you that choice. So here's what you do. You have two different ways of getting around that. And the reason why, by the way, let me tell you why that happens. In some of our later programs, we actually capture, in our program, we take over the screen. We don't let Chrome do anything anymore. We tell it what letters we want it to listen to, what mouse commands we want it to listen to. In other words, we tell Chrome to get out of the way, we're going to do it ourselves. And when you do that, when you try to hit right click to see what's behind the program, Chrome ignores that because you've taken over. You've abridged their ability to do it. So here's what happens. In order for you to see what's behind it, the program is behind the thing, one way to do it is to scroll up a little bit. The scroll bar is over here. You're going to have a little white space on the scroll bar right there. Right click on that thing, on that white space. Believe it or not, that works. You right click on the space, and it goes outside the screen, and what it does is it says, oh, you're not in the window, you're outside the window, so therefore Google's going to take a look at it. Chrome's going to look at it. So in other words, if your right click doesn't work in the main screen, just go to the right and try to do it over there. Another way to do it, supposing there is no scroll bar and your screen is completely blocked except for the controls up on top here. You know that control right here? That little command control? Click on that thing and it's going to give you a chance to change the size of the screen. It's 100% usually or something. Change it down to 90%. Okay? And here's what will happen. This thing right here, instead of being the whole screen, will drop down to like 90%. See which way that's like this somehow. And so now there's space over here. Then right click in that space and it will give you the ability to list the program. Okay? So what you do is you subvert them. You say, okay, Google, push my thing smaller, then I'll go outside and I'll find out what the listing is. And that'll give you the list. That's something we'll get into more and more. The only thing is you have to remember, you can't fix anything like that. You can't just start making changes in it and run it. It ain't going to work. That doesn't work. This is just a listing. It just shows you what's there. In order to change something, the only way to change a program is you go back in the CS101 folder, open up that file, make the change, save it again, upload it again, and that's the only way you can do it. So you've got to keep working with that one file that you have, that original program. That's the one that does everything. Okay? So that's something you should know. If any of these things I'm saying have any questions, just blurt them right out. Except for you. Just be funny. Okay. Next thing. I want to talk about some style sheeting stuff. Okay. Supposing, let's say you have a picture, and supposing the picture is enormous. It's like, it's 1024. It's a huge picture. 1024 by 512. It's got a lot of pixels in it. Okay, that's a 4 right there. It's a big picture, but you want to put it on your page, but you don't want it to be that big. You want it to be 200 by something. You want to restrict the width to 200. Even though the picture itself says stored, the way it's stored, it's let's say the picture is a cat picture. Let's say this is cat.jpg. Okay, that's how big it is. A huge picture, but you want to put it on your page. You want to put it on the page smaller. Now here's what's going to happen. Because of the fact the original picture is 1024, it means the picture is going to have extremely good quality. Even if you squeeze it down, it's going to it's going to look just as nice as it does. It's going to be very tiny, but it's going to look good. If you take a little picture, like supposing the picture was only 100 by 100 or something like that, and you expanded it to something like 1024, then the picture would look awful because you'd be taking the pixels and it's trying to approximate what it looks like bigger. It doesn't do a very good job. So making a little picture big, not so good. Making a big picture small, perfectly good. So let's say the original picture, as you've saved it, is this right here. It's 1024 by 512, but you want it to be only a couple hundred wide. You want it in your program, okay? So what you do is you write your program, and you put down this thing here, image source equals, and the picture is cat.jpg. There it is. That's cat.jpg. Now what we did our current thing, because everything is the size we wanted, it was perfect, we just went like this. And that was it. Nothing else to do. But in this particular case now, what I have to do is I'm saying, yeah, I really don't want that thing to be 1024, which it is. I don't want it to be its own size, but I don't want to change it either. I want to have that quality. I want to keep up with that quality. I want to show it smaller, but I want to keep that quality. So here's what you do. You say, well, I'm going to make up a command that's going to tell me how big to put it on the screen. Even though it's a different size, when it goes on the screen, it's going to be this size. I'm going to tell it what size to be. Okay? That's done inside the command, just like it was inside body. You put a style sheet. You make a space right here and put the word style right here. Okay? Equals. Oh. So in other words, this is inside of the picture. This picture is now going to have a style sheet. It's going to have something that tells it how to look. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things at the same time. I want to teach you. I mean, what's the point of showing you one item at a time when I can actually show you a bunch of them, and then when you come up against them, you'll be able to do them. Okay. I want to make sure I don't miss any here. The first thing you want to do. Let's say that this wasn't like the program we just wrote. Suppose you didn't center. You did not center the thing. You didn't say. Body, text align center. So what you're doing is you're just writing a regular page, and supposing you want to put things where you want them on the page. This is what I mean. You got this screen here, and you know it's like 2,000 this way, and maybe 900 this way or something like whatever size screen you have. There's different sizes. But what happens is, supposing you want to put an object. Right, this picture right here, and you want this corner to be 50 out this way and 200 down this way. In other words, you want 50 pixels, this corner to be 50 pixels out and 200 pixels down. And you want the whole thing to be, say, 300 wide, like that. In other words, what you want to do is you want to tell this picture exactly how big to be and exactly where to be, which is something brand new. This is something we haven't done before. Because what happens is if you just put a picture out there, it's going to go in the next, it's going to go to the left. It's just going to hang up to the left. We want to push it out a little bit. We want to push it down a little bit. We want to say go right there on the screen in that spot. That way you start to get the anatomy of the screen so that you can start putting things where you want them. And that's very crucial to be able to control where everything is if you want to do that. Regular website people don't necessarily do that. They just tell it to go on the next spot. And they sort of works out itself. It's very clever. It figures itself out. But sometimes, especially in our case, because we're going to be doing some special stuff, we want to tell it exactly where to go. We don't want to give it its own mind at all. Say, go here, and don't go anywhere else. So, step number one. What I want to do is, I want to say the word position. Colon. Absolute. I have to say that first. There it is. The magic word, position, absolute. Now, as I said, position is a property, and that's where it's going to be. But let me tell you what you can actually put relative in here too, the word relative in here. But we don't want to do that yet because it's a little bit tricky, and what we're doing is different. What I want to do is I want to say to this thing, I am going to tell this picture where to go, absolutely. Where I tell it to go, put it there. Don't care about anything else on the page, even if it's something there already, don't make any difference, it goes right there, right on top of it if you have to. So therefore, this says I am going to put this picture absolutely someplace. That's the first step. The second thing you do, like I want to keep this up here, but I've got to go underneath it, so I'm going to write it underneath here. So the next thing I want to do is I want to say, semicolon, I want this side right here to be 50 pixels from the left side. 50 pixels from the left side. So what you say is left, colon, 50. And what that does is, that puts the upper left-hand corner of the picture, it'll put it in the 50 in the X direction, it'll push it from the left side out 50 pixels. And that's where it will be, 50 pixels out. Then you say you want the top to be 200 from the top. So you put a semicolon here. You say top, colon, 200. There it is. At that point, what's going to happen is this picture is going to be positioned right here. Now, the next thing is, I want the width of this picture to be 300. That's how wide I want it to be. So what I do is I say width, colon, 300, semicolon. And that does it. That makes this 300 this way. And by the way, it'll be proportional. It'll keep the proportion of the picture, it won't lose it. So that's what's kind of cool. You don't have to tell it the height, try to calculate. Don't worry about that. Just say the width is 300, it'll figure the rest out for you. So what happens now, what we've done is we put this picture 50 this way, 200 this way. That's the upper left-hand corner, and it's going to be 300 thick. That picture's going to be exactly where we want to put it, and that's where it goes. Is there any question about that so far? There's 3 commands there. There's absolute, that's a command. There's left, top, and width. There's 4 commands here. Okay, this one here is the overriding command because it says in the next commands I'm going to tell you exactly where I want this thing. Put it exactly right where I say. Okay. Next one, we're going to do one more thing because we're going to be using this next thing. I just want to show you how to do it. There's a thing called the index. It's kind of a weird idea, but when you look at your web pages, you look at the flat web page right here, and its index is 0. 0. What that means is this web page is in the third dimension, in this direction right here, is at the 0 position. If I change this to 1, if I tell this I want it to be in position 1, here's what happens. That will come out 1 position, 1 unit. We don't know how much, it's just a position. If I put a 2 in here, it'll come out another unit. And a 3 and a 4, the higher the number, the further forward it is. Now, the reason why it does that is because you can put one thing in front of another that way. If I put a picture right here, then I put another picture over here in front of it. This one was index 0, and this is index 1. This is going to cover it. When you look at it, you're going to see it cover it. It's in front of it. So what the index does, it tells you to bring the thing forward. 0 is the baseline, and it goes like that. If you say negative 1, it goes that way. Pardon me, if I said this picture is negative 1, this would be in front, and this thing would be behind it here someplace. Get it? Make sense? Now here's what's nice about that. That may sound like, well, it'll be interesting, make a nice page, but so what? What's nice about it is because it's possible to make parts of pictures transparent. And I talked about this the other day. If I had a picture of a mountain scene, I think I did it with a mountain scene over here, and I have a picture of Bill, the little Bill, right here, and I want to put him in the mountain scene. If I make all the space around him transparent, and I put the mountain scene at position 0, and I index this out to position 1, you're going to see him in the mountain scene. Because all this is transparent, you can see right through it, but you can't see through him. So when he comes out front, you're going to see him and nothing around him. So you see right through to the mountains. Does that make sense? So you can put objects into context, other than the context they're in already. The way you do that is in XView. I'll show you online. It's a little version of that online. How to make a transparency. How to make it transparent. But I want to tell you something. And it's important. This is an important thing. If you have a picture that has like flowers and trees and this and that and all kinds of stuff with them standing, you're going to have a really hard time getting rid of that stuff because the only way the transparency works is if it's always the same color. If you have someone on a blue background, it'll do it for you, or on a black background, or green, or yellow, orange, or whatever, it'll do it for you. But it won't do it if it's varied, if it's got gradations of color. So then you're kind of stuck, okay? Does that make sense? So what you do is when you go to Google, when you go to the images, pick one that's got a good background, like a solid color background. It's pretty easy to do. I've always found them. There's always some there, and so you can find what you want pretty much for anything. In fact, usually what happens is when you go to Chrome and start looking for pictures in Google search, the pictures are better than the ones you thought you wanted. All of a sudden you see, oh yeah, that's much better. You know, you get what you really want. So that's what will happen. That little thing, I've given you all these things right here. I'm going to put this thing right here as index. Colon, let's just say 0. There it is. So what this does is, this will put this picture of the cat. Its left corner will be here. Its top will be here. Its width will be 300. And it'll be at the 0, it'll be on the main
Is there a space between TAC, JPG, and
Right here?
style? Yeah.
No, tight.
Or right after that?
Oh, right here, yes.
All right.
Space here, yes.
All right.
Space here, guys. Good question, there's space here. The page you gotta be careful of is in a name of something. You don't put a space inside the quotes. Inside quotes is probably the place not to put a space. That's where it kind of picks it up as a character and throws it off. Out here it doesn't. By the way, these things might work without a space something too. It depends on which command it is and what you're doing. But don't worry about it. The best way to do it is say, this is the rule, you stick to that, you'll never go wrong. If you don't know when you can do it, then you go, who knows. There has to be a space here too. No space here, no space anywhere else. Those are the only two spaces in the entire line, really. Okay? Got that? Now, before we ever actually index anything, we'll get into that more detail, but I just wanted to show you. May as well get it all out of the way. Now you can see those commands. You always have to say this first before you say any of those. Okay, you want to say position absolute. You're telling it where to be. And those guys, it's very critical that you... width probably doesn't require position absolute. That probably would do it on its own, but the other guys require position absolute first. Okay. Takes care of that. Every once in a while on the web page, I'm going to put up some 3D stuff so you can see where we're going. And you'll start to see how the things we do fit together with what ultimately we'll be doing. That might help, because sometimes when you get thrown into a new thing, it's all brand new to you and it gets all kinds of confusing. But if you kind of know that the stuff you're doing now is going to still be there, it's not going to go away, it's kind of more comfortable then, because you feel like, oh, this has got a new thing to it, but it's still got all the same stuff. It all looks the same. It works the same way. So I'm going to try to slowly incorporate the 3D graphics into things. See if there's anything else I need here. I don't think there is, so I think what I'm going to do is I will, yeah, it's pretty close to the hour. So what I'm going to do is, I have a couple of videos from, as I say, I'll show you I'm just going to do the ones now that are online. And if you have any questions about them or anything, if you want to stay, you don't have to stay for them if you don't want to. You can watch them at home, do whatever you please. But basically, I'm going to just show these videos, and they got a few more little details of things we have to do, and it'll give you a nice little lecture. Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to take a second. You can do whatever you want. If you want to